Hey, my lovely, lovely people, a pleasant afternoon to you. All right, I want to speak on a matter that a number of women, in, you can do the research, but some of the times I don't like when we do, when we are very scripted, that you can only believe people when we come with some paperwork. I understand that we live in a world that is divisive and trickify, as somebody would say, very deceptive. But I think we need to get to a point where we trust at least some people to a certain extent, especially those who really care and love us. I want the men to understand, because I'm a female, I'm going to come from my perspective as a female. As a male, you can come from your perspective. But I don't think a lot of men understand the role in which both genders or both sexes play. You are like the overarching leader. So it is incumbent upon you to really guide so that the woman can follow. It doesn't mean she doesn't have her leadership role. As God leads you, you lead your woman. She has her lead, she leads the children, and you guide and you watch over and you protect and you provide. One of your mantra should be to provide emotional presence for your woman. Another one of your mantras should be understanding the plight, the feelings of your woman when she speaks. One of the most deafening, decaying, painful things is when the man is dismissive and he lacks understanding when the woman speaks. When she says, I don't like this, I don't appreciate this, it makes me feel as though I'm not worthy to be a human. It hinges on my the walls of my self-esteem. It makes me feel less than. It makes me feel like you're not my provider. It makes me feel like you're not my protector. It makes me feel like you're not loyal, committed, and devoted to me. When I'm talking to you and you're constantly on your phone or the internet, we do not go out together often enough. We hardly communicate. The times we do, I'm frustrated by the things and you're not listening to me. You keep repeating doing it, and then I get upset and I respond not necessarily the best way all the time, because it's as though you don't respond to when I'm talking soft. When I'm calm, cool, and collected, it seems as if only when I get irate and incensed and angry, that is when you hear me. And I have a problem with that. I have a major problem where that is concerned. I have a problem where that is concerned. And it bothers me when the men don't seem to care. One of the things that disturbs men, I don't know, God is very wise in how he gave us strength. Men are given, you have the testosterone more, because women have a little bit of it. Both of us have the X and Y chromosome. The X speaks to the feminine, the Y speaks to the masculine. So, but God balances us, and it is good. I say one of the reasons I think God does it is for the woman. I'm not saying the only one off. Is for us to understand men. And why God would give men the X, a little of the X, is for them to understand women. Can you imagine if he didn't give you any at all? It would be like us talking to a wall, or you talking to a wall. And when you're very stone-walled in your understanding, it's like you're oblivious. You can't see what she's saying. It's one of the most disheartening, disturbing things in life. Sometimes women wonder if you're imbeciles, if you're dodo heads, if you're dumb, stupid, and illiterate. Honestly, they wonder. They wonder how you're blind. You're more blind than Bartimaeus. One of the strengths that God has given you is physical strength. Predominantly, that's men. That's why by the time you exercise 2 times, the muscles build quicker than females. Would have to go twice or 10 times harder. Because of the softness that God, more of the X chromosome, XX they call it. So you have physical strength, but emotional strength seems to have eluded quite a number of men. Now, being logical is different from emotional tenacity and strength. It's different. And the so-called logic it's more like our doubting Thomas is. Unless I see it and touch it, I will believe it. Women have, we call it the sixth sense, discernment. There is something, God gave us that sort of, it's like a spiritual, emotional intelligence to see when we say to you, honey, there is something wrong with that particular woman. I cannot put my hand on it, obviously, because I don't know her. I've not really experienced her, but there is something that there is a bad energy that I get. It is God who had inbuilt that in women. There is a bad energy. If I were to just make a blanket guess, I would say she seemed to have Delilah-like or Jezebel-like spirit, attitude. There's some, you can't place it as yet. And sometimes it is very subtle. They're like passive-aggressive, pretentious, fake, especially if the voices are high-pitched. And we say to you, be careful, and you don't listen. And then one fine day you falter. It is very hard for us to understand and to even go under forgiveness. Should we forgive? Yes, we should. They will. But I'm saying it is very hard because you know why? There was not strong communication from the get-go. There was not a strong bond from the get-go where that synergy between the two of you was there. That if she says, honey, I am not saying for you to cut the person over to, but I'm saying keep your antennas up. Be watchful, be careful. If a lot of men had listened to some women, wise women today, they would never have been 6'6" before their time in a deathly manner. They would never have been, or insane, if they had just listened. It is as though the genital shuts their brain here down when they see some women. They seem to become brainless. Who remembers the story of Samson and Delilah? Go and read it again. And that is how I realized that man was senseless. He was nonsensical. He just had the physical strength. It's like he was a dodo head. No disrespect. I mean, it was just right there to show that this woman was a genial and a deceptive woman. And I'm sure that other women around him must have, even though the Bible may not have said it, but I'm sure there must have been one woman who said, listen, you see, them there, do not go down that road, please. Don't. And he was so smitten. But he didn't listen, and it cost him his eyes and then his life. His strength first, then his eyes, and then he got back the strength, but he was blind already. And then just pushed down the pillar and everybody did out. And this happens when you don't hear the woman, when you don't understand, when you're not in touch with her feelings. It's very annoying and frustrating. And maybe that is why you're getting the frequent quarrels and nagging. You're not listening to the woman. Some of you are just listening to respond. Some of you are like stone walls. You don't even trust what your woman is saying. She trusts that you have the physical strength. Trust that she has that emotional strength and that discernment. Go out with your women often enough. And it don't have to be something expensive. Come, you put down the phone. Talk with her, hear her heart. That's how the relationship will solidify and be great. You have to show that love and respect to your women, or you will be in the regret Ultimately, guys, you know what to do with TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe, give me one of those lions.